then. Good evening, everyone.
Hey-o.
Welcome to the Funbox Monster Podcast. I'm Tristan.
I am Matt Awkward.
And tonight we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, the 1984 classic, shut up, Matt, motion picture Night of the Comet.
Hi, my name's Matt, and I'm apparently the only person on planet Earth that doesn't like this movie.
I will accept this criticism, but I think this movie is flawless.
I think it is riddled with flaws.
I absolutely love this movie. I get the fact that it definitely, for a zombie movie, is lacking zombies. Mm-hmm. For a
action movie, it's lacking action.
There's a little bit of that.
For a horror movie, it's lacking scares.
It is. All of those things are true. I feel like this movie is a whole other thing. Like, I don't feel
it's
like...
unique, I'll give it that.
It is, but I also feel
and
like
I definitely
it's not...
feel it's got some pluses. I don't think it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah. I just think that it's not... It's sort of a redux of a 50s movie. It feels like they were trying to get that 50s vibe into an 80s movie, and it's got a lot of that. That the voiceover at the beginning, mm-hmm. the funny movie phone guy doing a crazy voiceover. I liked that a lot.
My problem is there's too many patches of this movie that don't go anywhere, or I feel like could be excised. I feel like this could almost be like a 30-minute Twilight Zone from the 80s episode.
Yeah, I mean, any of these could, like Omega Man could have been that, and any of these End of the World, Last Man on Earth, I Am Legend, all those kinds of movies.
I mean, we had the whole upper Earth is gone, and I think it looks fantastic. The red sky,
yeah.
the deserted
Beautiful.
Streets, everything looks so cool. So let's spend all of our time in a totally gray underground bunker with boring people.
Oh, I mean, this movie was made on a $700,000 budget. Mm-hmm. Like, very, very, very limited budget for what they were doing. For which I think they did amazingly. I think that they're massively different locations. Like, there's a good 10 different locations, all of which look super cool. Like, I like the home set, the outdoors set, the suburb set.
I love their neighborhood. I love the
awesome.
leftover party in the street after the comet.
So good.
It looks great.
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff looks awesome, and I think
the main criminal complaint I have with this movie is I feel it's just boring. I don't feel like anything interesting happens the entire 90 minutes.
Okay, so plot-wise, I agree. I think that, for me, the dialogue in this movie and the interactions between characters are strong enough that it holds the movie together.
I feel like all the dialogue is boring, though.
Really?
Yes. Like,
That's
there's not a funny line in it. There's just cringy lines. There's just dumb.
I like a lot of the way that I like their dialogue.
I'm usually not this
drops.
hateful. I just don't feel like
so weird, man.
Yeah.
But like, I love the like, a lot of the stuff is very cheesy, but some of the ways that they connect scenes and some of the ways that the writing is done, I don't know, I just find it really interesting.
This is going to be like that change my mind meme.
Oh God,
we'll treat
absolutely.
this podcast like this. Like, I don't like this movie. Change my mind.
Oh, great.
Let's do it.
I'm going to try my damnedest.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're starting this wonderful film with our
salt in the wound.
Yeah, sorry. We got a real, like, I think it's the movie phone guy. Like, it sounds like the...
It does sound like the movie trailer guy.
So yeah, it's citizens of Earth are going to get a special Christmas present this year in the form of...
Also, this is the second time that you've suggested a movie that was a Christmas movie that I didn't know. The first being Trancers, way back in the day.
That's true.
Yep.
This is a Christmas movie.
This is a Christmas movie. There's a tree.
There's a tree. There's lots of trees, actually.
Yeah.
There's several. And this is also a voiceover that is very, very similar to the beginning of Maximum Overdrive.
Yep, I got that vibe too.
It's really, like, I mean, it's
all we needed was like a eight paragraph
yeah, exactly.
on screen first.
Gigantic text drop, and then, you know, AC/DC in the background. So we watch the scientists locking themselves away. What's that? What are these scientists about? We don't know. There's just some scientists locking themselves away.
We'll find out later.
Gonna be amazing.
They're so interesting.
So everybody's out on the street watching the comet. There's a crazy comet going by with a massive elliptical orbit.
Don't worry, the comet's safe.
It's completely safe. Scientists don't know nothing. And so everybody's
Which
out.
is sadly exactly how this world's working right now,
yeah.
too.
So this movie was very prescient. So they're all watching the comet pass over, and Catherine Mary Stewart, is that her name?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Reggie.
Reggie. She is dominating the Tempest machine.
Which will come into play later on.
Sure won't.
All her exactly. It's great that we know that she's loves this video game.
I know it really
is a very strong character trait.
This was a real. This is another like. It's not even a red herring. They didn't mean it to mean anything. But to me, when I saw it, when you watch it, you're like, oh boy, at the end, these scientists are going to be like, well, there's a ticking clock, and only somebody who can navigate through
Super Tempest skills can fix it. Save it. Nope.
It's going to be some sort of, like laser grid thing where you had to get through it, and it's like, oh man, it's finally my Tempest skills.
Well, the thing is, we find out she's obsessed with having her name on every high score, which is ridiculous, because you should only be obsessed with having your name at number 1.
She just wanted to clear everybody out. I've actually known people like that.
I was psyched because I was number 3 at Space Zap at Arcadia for a while. Somebody has gone in there and just absolutely dominated my score, and there's I've not been able to even place it again.
Did somebody come in and score slightly higher than yours, and then your third place disappeared entirely?
My third place is gone entirely. And the 3
fourth,
scores,
5th, and 6th stage, just like this game?
There's only 3 in it.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're all higher than I've ever been. So, like,
in
I got
this
my work
game,
cut out for me.
If you get a score higher than one other score, that score disappears.
It just disappears. Yeah,
and
completely.
Then you
like
overwrite
that. Like
it.
it works. Yep.
I like that function of this video game. So she gets...
It's not how they work.
Yeah. Her ridiculous boss, who is Weird Al's uncle from UHF, is trying really hard to sell Comet Doodly Boppers to everybody.
It's hilarious because he has different price tiered models of dangly Comet things. It's really funny. Okay. And it's great that we keep cutting back to it.
He is definitely doing shtick. Yeah.
But it's like so low key.
It's not only is it low key, he isn't. I don't even think that he was meant to be on film while he was doing it. Like, his shtick was probably supposed to be like rhubarb, except that he's kind of doing a thing and then they recorded it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think that he was meant to have. That's all. I'm sure that
these are $9.50. This one's only $8. She's wearing the $7 model.
1,000% ad-libbed. Yeah. All of that stuff. There's no way that was in the script. I mean, because we're supposed to be concentrating on hot girl playing video game. That's supposed to be the important part of this. But she gets righteously indignant because he's like, go do work while you're at work.
Walk the house. And then she has this really funny bit about how milk duds hurt if they're thrown at her. It's hilarious.
They're going to hit me with milk duds.
Have you ever been hit with a goober? They hurt.
Dots? Goobers? Milk duds?
Yeah.
Yep. So she puts her name in, blah, 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 wrong name. But now she's going to go up to her boyfriend's...
Larry,
who's
making deals on the phone to, like, lend people film reels from 50s monster movies.
So that they can bootleg them.
Yeah, that's a thing, I guess.
I think it probably was at the time.
And then the thing that I don't understand is his big thing is he needs to get that film reel back by 6 in the morning. Mm-hmm. Like, why?
Because they're probably picking it up.
Who?
The distributor.
At 6?
That is weird.
It's so early.
That is so early.
The theater wouldn't even be open.
They're in LA, so maybe literally the studio is like, hey, just send somebody down to grab those reels.
Okay.
So he's loaning prints out to a bootlegger, so he needs to leave the back door ajar. This is very important. Actually, not important at all.
No, not at all.
That is very odd. So this sets up that they're going to miss being exposed to the comet because they're inside this room. She calls home to her sister Samantha, who's dressed like aerobics Ronald McDonald. She's got she's kind of Iron Man colors from the 60s. Yeah. She's got yellow tights. And
it's our good friend Kelly Maroney
from Chopping Mall. And she's just had it out with Doris, who's
Doris
her Doris does suck. Doris is her stepmom.
I'm glad she's Dust.
Yeah, exactly.
More like Dustus.
Yeah, she deserved it more than anybody else. She makes a speech here where she basically like drops all sorts of
it's an exposition speech.
It's an expository dump. She's like, explains that the dad's a major and he's in Honduras
fighting wars.
Yes,
fighting secret wars.
And now she's been left home to take care of the kids, and so she's gonna do it because he's gonna jump on her back otherwise. And also she's cheating on Dad with Chuck the neighbor.
And she does have that asshole line that I do like.
That was pretty good.
Yep.
You were born with one asshole. You don't need Chuck. Which gets a slap from Doris.
And then Kelly slaps back.
And then Doris punches her the fuck out. Like, straight up knocks her on her ass.
It's more disturbing than funny.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, that whole thing is like... There's a lot of stuff in this that's like... It plays itself like a Goonies, like a PG-13 fun kids version of a horror movie. And I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But then it's like... And also, we're gonna make the kids brain dead, and then we're going to suck out all their blood. Oh, fuck.
Okay.
That's cutesy. Yeah, so spoiler to the end.
When they're living in the North Pole.
They're going to kill some children and take their blood. Yeah, so that's upsetting. But
basically we learn that Doris is a bitch. Reggie's not coming home. And
nope.
And after Sam gets clocked, she's out of there too.
Yes, and she's going to go stay someplace else. Maybe some sort of garden shed.
Sure.
Why not? So Reggie and Larry do it in the booth, and we learn that she reads comics.
Yep.
She's like legitimately concerned that Superman is going to be watching them doing it, I think, is what I got from that.
Larry insists that the room's enclosed in steel, which is a huge plot point we find, which makes no sense to me and I hate it. But the room's enclosed in steel, so that is how they're not vaporized by the comet.
Right.
Because they hung out boning in this room that's steel enclosed. That's the same reason Sam's alive. She slept in the metal garden shed. She was enclosed in steel.
Yep.
And
but Superman can see through steel, so he could still see them.
That's lead, stupid.
Yeah, he could still see them doing it, so that's upsetting.
And he was watching.
And it turns out Superman was watching the whole time. Everybody who watches the comet their eyeballs start to boil, and then they turn into puddles of dust. So next scene, just 70s apocalypse movie. Like straight up
red sky, empty streets.
Yeah, like Phase 9 or like one of those like end of the world.
Because this is LA. If everybody just vaporized it instantly, like all the streets would just be completely empty. It wouldn't be like filled with parked cars.
That would be very expensive. Yes. Well, they cleared all the cars to do the comet watching party.
Yep.
They had to do that because that's where all the people were on the streets stopped.
Well, yeah, it was a neighborhood. That was like a cul-de-sac. Like every house on that street has garages anyway.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
That's okay.
But the main highways being completely empty is ridiculous.
No. It would definitely be that Walking Dead thing where you couldn't drive a car and you wouldn't be able to get anywhere.
I prefer the stand.
Yeah, also good. Red filter, everything. Craziness, Christmas music, scary clown animatronics.
Oh, fun fact, that's the same clown from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Of course it is.
I recognized it instantly, and then I was like, hey, that's just like the clown in Pee-wee. And then I was reading some trivia and found out that it is the actual clown from Pee-wee.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So Reggie wakes up in the booth. Her boyfriend's gone to meet the bootleg guy, and he winds up getting his brains bashed in by a zombie. So he managed...
There's a zombie now.
Yeah, he managed to survive this apocalypse situation just long enough to walk out of the building and instantly get bashed in the head by a zombie.
And I hope you like this zombie because it's the first and the last one you'll see for about 30, 45 minutes.
Yes. So Reggie gets bored of being up there and she goes and plays more Tempest and steals candy and whatever.
Night of the Comet, sponsored by Tempest from Atari.
She finally leaves the building and she's like... She sees all the empty clothes, and she's starting to put shit together.
And she props a door open with a cylindrical trash can, which is just, to me, very annoying, because I know that's going to give way and lock her out.
Yep.
It does.
Yep, and it does. She finds the bloody wrench, and she goes, ew. I feel like with all of the rest of her, like, dad's military training for her, all of the drops of, like, my crazy militaristic father trained us all in weapons and self-defense, that when you found a bloody wrench, you would go, "Oh, I'm in danger."
Yeah,
that's probably a bad sign.
And she is, though.
Turns out she is in danger. She hears commotion down at the end of this alley, and she goes down. And you know, in that way that movie characters will always go down if they see commotion in a blind alley. And there's some like really clean, nicely placed. This is actually one of those like super clean trash situations where like it's just a giant pile of garbage, but it's all like clean newspaper and clean cardboard and everything's just very clean. And there's 3 like very placed boxes, and then our zombie jumps out.
It's the same zombie that bashed her boyfriend.
Yep. And he's still got a piece of him too.
And I'm just wondering where this zombie came from, or where any of the like. It's one night. Everybody got vaporized.
Yes.
Why not this guy? Was he sleeping in?
He was sleeping
steel,
partially covered,
but like not totally covered in steel. So maybe he's using that garbage can that we saw, like Oscar,
essentially.
like so his head got sunburned,
that's
comet
exactly,
burned.
That's
Is that what
exactly
happened?
the deal. So if you were in a car, if you were like sleeping in a car, you would turn into a zombie. If you were sleeping,
there would be so many more zombies. There isn't. There's one.
I mean, it just depends on how much exposure you get. So the exposure is, if it's really dramatic, there's an in-between phase. Everyone is going to eventually
look like that,
and then turn into dust. But except for the people who are completely enclosed in steel. So basically our main characters and nobody else.
Like truck drivers.
Like,
luckily, there is only one truck driver sleeping in his truck in this whole comet apocalypse.
Yes, that is all. We don't know. The rest of the country could be full of these people. It's just in L.A. that it was really warm that night, and everybody had their windows open,
sleeping on the roof of their trucks.
Yeah, they were watching the the comets. So, oh, that's right. Yeah, so she beats up the zombie. Takes off on the motorcycle, which I assume is her boyfriend's motorcycle. Okay. And she just rides through this crazy apocalypse looking for, I mean, I guess she's going home to her sister.
Yeah, well, she's just going home. Yeah.
Yes. So she goes home, screams, looking for everybody. Nobody's there. And then gets surprised by her sister upstairs who's being kind of ditzy and stupid. Turns out she is pretty dumb.
Yeah.
And so she shows her all the empty clothes, and she's like, "Look, here's Chuck," and pours out the boot, and she's
just like, "I'm going back to my Raisin Bran."
Yeah, exactly. She
got pep squad practice soon.
Yeah, she's got some disassociative stuff going on. She's not really willing to accept the end of the world very easily. Yeah. So yeah, she goes back and eats cereal, but. But after a few minutes to accept the situation, she hears the radio, and they come to the conclusion there must be a DJ there because he's talking on the radio. Let's go down to the radio station.
I find this pretty pathetic too for our time now, where a lot of mainstream radio doesn't have DJs.
True.
A lot of the times, I didn't think they did that back then, or maybe they did. I mean, this is '84, and basically we find out that the DJ they thought was doing the radio show is completely on tape.
Yes.
Which nowadays, if you're not listening to MPG, you're hearing a bunch of robot people.
I will say that it is absolutely something that was happening back then.
Yep.
I mean, I was doing a radio show in my early teens, like maybe even pre-teens, and at Whoopi, the Presque Isle radio station.
Okay.
Me and a friend did a punk show, and they had a thing called a Benjamin machine, where like you would record your show, like, and you'd put it on this cassette tape essentially, and you just hit this button, and then overnight it would replay all the shows from previous days.
Gotcha.
And they were just like, it was just canned.
Yep.
So, and it just had like a rack with like 15 different like, cassettes.
I just didn't think canned radio is that old, like as in this.
I also remember it being a plot point in WKRP.
Oh, yep.
Like in the sitcom, I remember that was like a plot point of one of the episodes was like that they were just, I mean, it does make a lot of sense to just record patter and just throw it in there. But,
I don't know, man. Support live radio.
Yeah, seriously. Unlike this. Stupid podcasts. So they get there.
Just two assholes record everything and then just go home for the night.
Two assholes record everything. You've already got two assholes. Why do you need Chuck? So Chakotay from Star Trek Voyager comes in with a gun and checks them for zombiness.
They check out, they're clear.
Yep. They show their eyeballs, and he goes, "Aha! You're clearly not a zombie." And he does his story dump. He's a trucker. He came in with a girl from wherever, and blah 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 blah
She
blah.
saw a zombie eating a cat and then ran away and got eaten herself.
A dead cat?
No,
Mostly
dead. Your mother ate my dog.
Yep. But he slept in his steel truck. So he was
He's
okay.
the only truck driver in America that slept in a steel truck that night.
Yes. The remainder of the trucks
There's
were
not that many truckers out there.
plastic. No,
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's the biggest plot point that bothers me.
That's where they figure out the steel thing. And also steel.
There would just be thousands of truckers alive after this, but everything is empty.
Yeah, it's true. Well, maybe that's what that new wave band that was in the mall was. Maybe they were all truckers.
Nope, they were stock
they
boys.
were stock boys. That's right.
No, that don't even get me started on that. That's the worst part of the movie, and it makes zero sense.
Were they all sleeping in the stock room?
Don't know.
Okay.
Under a forklift, or
Yeah.
now they're kingpins. Fuck, it's so stupid.
This is another thing that I find interesting. I would have thought that this would have been one of those moments when the sister shut the little sister up. So she goes on and she's like flicking all the switches, and she's like, "Hello, testing. Hi, we're here. Anybody that's out there,
You've only dealt with a zombie so far.
So far, you've only dealt with people that want to kill you."
Yeah. Your one sister has seen a zombie, and you and her have seen a guy with a gun.
And
so everybody else out there, anybody else?
Come
hey, we're at
on,
this
come
radio
on in.
station.
Here we are. And so she does that. And that was weird. But in the interim, Reggie grabs Chakotay's gun. I'm never going to remember his real name.
It's Hector.
And checks it out in a way that like belittles his gun. Like,
Yeah.
look at this stupid thing. It's probably good for a dance night in the barrio, but not so good
If we see any more people out there, we're going to need some more stopping power, because this gun will obviously not stop a one person. What?
Yeah, no way a bullet will stop a human being. So she knows where, she's a trained gun expert and knows where there's a weapons depot full of automatic weapons. You know, like Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
Two of the greatest films ever made.
Yep.
So
I'll take Overdrive over this any day.
I will too, but
Green Sky is cooler than Red Sky.
Green Sky is pretty awesome. So this crazy comet research group calls into the radio station, only talks to the sister, and then hangs up. And she doesn't remember a goddamn thing that they said until later. She's like, well, I didn't write anything down. But then in ADR, as they're driving away, when they need to film some shit, they need to fill in some plot holes. She's like, oh, also they said that partial exposure to the comet would cause zombies and that everyone's deteriorating and all these things. And she fills in all the plot holes. So
I missed that part. It still doesn't give me any answers.
Yeah, it cuts back to them in the bunker. So now we have the research scientists in the bunker talking about trying to bring the teens back to the bunker.
Oof.
And it's like...
And then we bring in one of my favorites, Mary Warrenov, and
So
she can't
awesome.
even save this thing for me.
Two.
And why the hell isn't Paul Bartel one of those scientists?
I know.
They go so well together.
There's another person from Eating Raoul.
I know.
Chakotay was in that. Yeah, so that's amazing.
But where the hell's Paul?
I don't know.
I love that guy.
I
hate seeing Mary without him.
It's a real shame. Yeah, so sad.
He should have taken over the Devil's Rejects dude.
Yeah,
Carter.
Absolutely
that should have been Paul Bartel.
Him.
That would have been best.
Yeah. So at this point, we're kind of assuming that they're still trying to help. They seem like they're still kind of on the up and up, like they're trying to get them back there to do tests on them, and they're like, well, there's no hope for them anyway, you know, like they're kind of...
And Mary Warrenov is just like queen defeatist. She's just like...
Yes, she is.
We shouldn't even try to save them.
But at this point, she knows
they're all poisoned anyway.
Yeah, well,
these genius dipshit scientists left the ventilation system open the whole time.
Yeah, which doesn't make much sense.
No,
because again,
what kind of oversight is that?
Well, sure that, but like, was this dust? Was this gas? I mean, I thought it was rays. I thought it was literally something coming down from the comet
Because it does wash away the dust. Well, that was all calcium dust apparently from people. Is all that red dust?
Right, exactly.
I guess the red sky was
that was
it clears up.
The red sky was just all of the people airborne blocking out the sun. That's all of the dust of the dead people just blocking out all the sun. So dead people dust turns you into zombies? Is that what we're saying? Or are we saying cosmic rays are turning you into zombies? It's cosmic rays, definitely, but why were rays getting in through the ventilation system? Oh God.
Some crazy cats.
Yeah, I know.
Comet cats.
Crazy, they've got comet sickness. Oh well, who knows?
Rays. Yeah, exactly. Oh man. You just maybe make this, like this movie even less.
Great. I'm gonna try. I'm trying.
But yeah, the scientist bunker. It's completely gray, and everybody wears gray suits, and everything's extremely interesting to look at.
It looks just like the Day of the Dead bunker. It's very similar.
Another movie that's very, very boring.
I love that movie. God damn it! What is
Just
going
stop at dawn, man.
No way. Wow, controversial opinion.
Hot take, awkward here.
Here, I have another hot take. Mm-hmm. I think Day of the Dead's a better movie than Dawn of the Dead.
Oof. Ooh. No.
I like Day of the Dead better than Dawn of the Dead. Oh God. Oh no. I'm sorry, everyone.
Not gonna agree with you on that one.
Oh boy, the makeup is just so much better. But the movie's not quite as good. But you get Bud the zombie.
He's cool.
He's great. Bub the zombie. So yes, Sam goes to the bathroom after she. Oh
yeah. So this part's so cool. Like this part is cool. She
goes out driving. And drinking alone.
Why the fuck wouldn't you? It's the end of the world, and then you're alone. Like I would. And then she gets...
Except for all these zombies that keep killing people.
Well, she hasn't even seen one.
That's true.
Because there hasn't been one since that damn alley because this movie's so action-packed. So Sam just goes out driving and drinking and then gets pulled over by bike cops. And she's all spooked because she's been drinking. But it turns out they're zombie cops.
Zombie cops.
And they try to eat her or pull her out of the car, I guess. She struggles against them. And we've got the great makeup effects of her ripping at the zombie's hand and just bleeding all over her face and her hand, and the makeup effects done by the same dude that did Freddy.
Freddy, yeah.
And the makeup looks fantastic.
Absolutely awesome.
But then we find out this is just a dream. Sam's at the radio station still.
But don't worry. She's going to go to the bathroom, get PG-13 naked, and...
Then the cops come back in again. Oh, and it's a dream in a dream. And that just... I flipped off the screen watching it at this point.
It's too much. That's too much. But
I mean, the cops look great. Kelly Maroney looks great, but you do that damn ass double dream jump shit. I hate
too much. So Hector's doing sit-ups. Reggie's into it.
Oh yeah.
He explains that he's going to drive back to San Diego to find his family. To just see how dead they're going to be, because he knows that they're dead, but he's got to check anyway. And the little sister is now itchy.
Yes.
She's sitting on the couch and she's like, something on my shoulder.
They call it the comet itch.
Yes. So now they have automatic weapons and they're firing them off.
Where did they get those?
At whatever this depot is. It's just a missing
They didn't
scene.
go there, though.
We're to assume that they did.
Okay. I guess they went there. Sure.
Yes. So
they each grabbed one gun when they were there.
Apparently. Yeah, that was weird.
They don't have any backpacks full of bullets.
And what are they?
They're not Uzis.
They're clearly not Uzis because Dad would have
got them Uzis.
I think they're Mac 10s.
They're submachine guns.
They're some sort of submachine gun. I think it's a Mac 10.
They each grabbed one each,
but
and they have
jam very easily.
No bullets. They have no magazines.
They have lots of bullets.
Apparently, where are they? They don't have any backpacks carrying clips.
Oh, they're off screen.
When they shoot their gun, it doesn't shoot any shells out.
Does not drop any shells. Again, they don't have any money to make this movie.
Dude, I've seen shells fly out of guns in the lowest budgets of movies. Come on.
Those movies spend all of their money on shells and don't have enough money to spend on the Galleria Mall. And so...
Oh, yeah, we haven't gone to the mall yet.
No, not quite
yet. We are
yet.
going back to the same mall we've been to twice so far this past few times
yes. Here. So Hector does eventually go home.
Yes.
He brings his truck back to his family home, He gets in and like music's playing and it's just basically...
It's this fascinating scene of watching Hector just walk around doing nothing for a while.
It's scary.
Okay.
You're anticipating the terror of the attack from this terrifying
And then when
child.
you finally see the zombie, it's a 10-year-old boy who's 3 feet tall. Yeah, it's super scary.
He could 100% just like
Just kick him over, yeah.
He's just unwilling to kill this kid is basically how this scene goes down. So he runs away from this child.
I think this
And
scene
jumps out the window.
I think this scene would have been kind of funny if like it was played up almost Monty Python style. Like,
oh yeah,
he freaks and just grabs like a decorative sword and lops the kid's arm off. Then he keeps running, and then he ends up knocking the other arm off with something else and keeps running, and it keeps going after him. And you know what I mean? And
1000%. If he just kept like didn't want to hurt the kid, and then just kept
hurting
like,
the kid on accident,
really badly injuring this,
and then apologizing constantly, and then he keeps running out. That
fine.
would be funny, but there's no comedy to it. He just runs out of the house.
It is still 1984, so probably. Even though he is a dead child, it's probably still...
So Hector runs out of the house and he jumps back into his truck. No, I'm just shitting you. He just runs up the street away from his car.
Runs away from his car. But he gets a way better car.
Yeah, he finds that somewhere.
Yeah. I think there's probably a few
There's probably a few cars kicking around. I'll give him that.
So he does that. Yes. And now we're back at the lab. Mary Warnaw's realizing that everybody is decaying, essentially. That everyone is going to die who had any level of exposure. She sees that it's like exponentially worse than she thought it was. And then they exit through the funniest fucking fake doors I've ever seen in my life. The fake Star Trek doors in this movie fill me with joy.
Yes.
They're like wicker. Like,
my favorite fake doors is funny that you just made that sound effect. We're from Airplane 2.
Absolutely.
Do you remember that? With
Yep.
You shush the door to make it shush up.
Yeah, so good.
Oh, the best.
That was, one of my faves. Oh my god. And so now a chopper is showing up at the Comet Research Facility cult compound, whatever the fuck this thing is, and it has a bunch of kids in it.
They found some survivors. These kids were sleeping in steel.
Yes. And so Mary...
I want to know where these kids were. Like...
They were stuck inside the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, exactly. Like... Were they also like pissed off at their parents and sleeping in a garden in a lawn storage shed?
Yes, also possible. So this is where Mary first starts arguing with everybody, where you start seeing, but the chopper's going, so you can't tell what she's arguing about, what she's mad about.
And
so
I like that.
It's good. It's cool. It's a smart move. It's a smart move to stand in front of a helicopter when you don't want people to hear what you're actually saying. Given
like our president.
Woo!
Oh, get political up in
2 points. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Anyway. So, she's not into whatever sinister shit the comic company is up to. So, there it is. And they assume that the sister is breaking down and she's going to die, blah, blah, blah. So, they hit the mall. And they do fun montage shopping to a K-Tel version of a Cyndi Lauper song.
Yeah.
Not the actual song, but re-recorded by some sort of cover artist. Terrible.
Oh, this whole scene's awful. And it's not fun, though. Like, the antics they do in this montage aren't funny or entertaining.
Sometimes she puts on a piece of clothing and then asks about it.
Sometimes she like goes down a staircase and then comes back up a little bit and then goes back down the staircase some more and then comes back up a little bit.
That's pretty good, right?
Really good, yeah.
It's pretty good. Sometimes she puts down her gun and the camera focuses on it.
Yeah.
To show that she doesn't have her gun.
Do you know Girls Just Want to Have Fun was written by a guy?
He could make that observation too.
Yeah.
That's not, that observation requires no specific gender.
Yeah, it was originally sung by him too. Yeah, Cyndi took it and made it her own.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
So, oh my god, yes. So this scene, I don't understand.
I hate it. I hate everything that happens in the next 10 minutes.
So basically what happens here is Wall of Voodoo is hanging out in this mall out back, and they're watching everything on the monitors, and they decide that they need to kill these two people?
They're like, all right, boys, let's do it. And this,
as though they have been planning this forever.
Yeah, this has been a day.
So, I mean, in
This has
comic
been a day, and we've already got this like guy that's half zombie controlling 3 other Goombas in the mall with guns and everything. Like, what?
Essentially, I mean, in comic book logic,
He's even got an embroidered bathrobe he's wearing.
and he changes out into a general's outfit.
Military costume.
Very confusing.
None of this makes any sense.
Where did they get their guns?
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
they went to that same mysterious.
Maybe they knew
missing
about the
scene
mysterious depot. Yeah. So these guys who look very much like Wall of Voodoo show up, and they just
you know
start
what-
open fire.
Yeah, you know what you should do when there's barely anybody left on the planet and there's 2 hot girls? You should probably kill them.
Kill them.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
These are smart dudes.
and that's what they're doing. Yeah,
And so they just open up firing, and then this whole scene bothers me because, what's her nuts? Reggie's going for her machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sam can't remember where she left hers. Apparently,
well, they took it.
oh, they took. That's right, they took her gun.
Somehow they were sneaking around because
Yep.
he comes over
guess.
he comes over the loudspeaker. And he's like, "Are you
You
looking for something?"
That's right. That's right. But
And
they
he's like-
didn't pay attention to the other girl with the gun, so she's got her Uzi, and they just start having a firefight, face-off style, hitting everything but the people.
Yep.
Come on, Samantha. She can't be this stupid. She just stands up and just starts chucking shoes lightly at them, like, and then like they turn around with their
She
guns,
is-
and she's like, "Oh crap!"
She is portrayed as being pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah, but like this is ultra dumb. Like I wouldn't. Nobody would jump up in a firefight like this and just start chucking shoes lightly. It's so
Yeah.
stupid.
And also
so it
she-
bothers me to see.
She also, her sister also misses her opportunity. Like basically,
Oh yeah, they turn her back on her. She ducks, and she's got all the time in the world to shoot them while they're not
Yeah.
looking, and she doesn't. She's too busy fucking posing as a mannequin because that's hilarious.
So yeah, the first time I may have ever seen a Scooby Doo work in a IRL Scooby Doo move in an action film.
So during this firefight, Samantha's just like, she says out loud, "I think it's time to take the higher ground," in like the most unconvincing line read. She goes upstairs, and then instead of getting the drop on these goons, yells to them to get their attention first and tries dropping a giant TV on their head, which would effectively take them both out, but she completely misses and gives away her secret position at the same time.
But
and
also
doesn't
they-
accomplish anything.
Well, if her sister was thinking tactically, she would have just shot them after their attention was distracted.
Yeah.
They kind of were not working as a team. They really need to get that shit together. But
we're led to believe that they've gone through all this special ops training with their
Yeah.
dad. Come real situations, they're worthless.
I mean, to be fair, it is a particularly bizarre situation.
Yeah.
A new wave band attacks you in a mall with handguns. It's not something that you really expect to happen.
So eventually they do capture Sam, and then Reggie comes out and she's got one of them hostage, and Willie, the lead
Yes.
guy in the Stock Boy gang,
Yep.
is just like, "I can't have you holding my man hostage," so he shoots him.
Yep.
What?
I,
And then they
just
get
to
both-
prove that he's a
I
sociopath and that
guess.
he's
And then
just
they grab-
really out of control.
And then they grab both girls and they chain them up together and keep them alive. You were just trying to like shoot the hell out of these people. Why are you chaining them up now?
and that's the problem.
Zero parts of this entire scene. Nothing makes sense.
And then this part is actually really frustrating too, because she's like, "Why would you want to do this? Reasons that you couldn't possibly understand," or something like that.
yeah,
Like,
not things. What do you want from us? Stuff that you wouldn't know in your worst nightmare.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Why are
well, hi, I'm a viewer. I'd really like to know what's going on here.
Yes. I would like to know more about this. So they're chained up on a forklift. He's ranting about the system.
Yeah,
That,
how
like,
he owns the mall and they're
how now
ripping them
he-
off.
Now he gets to own the mall now that all of these things have happened. I mean,
Dude, it's been a day.
yeah. I don't understand because for the scientists, they're losing cognitive function. They're like, she's losing her memory.
Yeah.
She's unable to remember how to spell words. All of this stuff is happening, but it seems like everywhere else in the world that this is happening, it's turning everyone into a violent psychopath. Or only sociopaths can survive the end of the world, which seems to be the kind of like,
How did this
the
gang of
plot
4
everything.
live? What were they doing?
Oh, maybe it was Gang of 4.
Yeah. There was.
Oh, rest
there
in
was
peace.
4. Yeah, but like, what? How did these guys survive? Of all people, like, what were they doing?
They were all sleeping together
in a storage container.
In a
maybe?
storage
like,
container.
There's too many like what ifs or like whys in this movie that it.
I think they were infected. That's why they were wearing sunglasses.
Well, yeah. Oh, they absolutely.
Oh, they absolutely were.
But they had to have not been fully
infected,
so they didn't blow away.
But you can't.
Where
tell
were
me,
they that they didn't blow away?
Yeah, there's way too many like people that would have been mildly infected. I feel that aren't that are just dust. Like
it's true.
There's too many unanswered. Where are they or how are they here? Questions for my liking.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not one of those movies that I really care that much about the whys and wherefores.
See, it does for me. I feel like they have these rules. Like, they establish why you're here, but we never find out exactly why those zombies are. Like, how'd that guy get so zombified so fast? Or how did this guy at the mall, the stock boy, he takes his sunglasses off and we see that he's becoming zombified.
Again,
but like his other boys aren't whatsoever.
It's all about the levels of exposure.
Yeah.
Like how far gone you are. So that zombie was as far exposed to whatever happened as you could be
without turning
into dust. So he was probably, hours away from turning into dust. She just happened to catch him at a bad time.
I just feel like
if
there
she
would be
just waited it out,
a lot more people that would be there than
you could be right. Okay. So now Mary is back with them. She has, I don't know, does she have a character? Does she have a character name?
I don't know.
I don't think she does. So Mary Warna, she's staying behind. Like the scientists show up, they kill all of these dum-dums.
And they save the girls from the dum-dums, but they rationalize that Samantha's too much of a dum-dum to be even worth saving? Is that what they say?
So, yes, sort of.
The scientist kind of makes like a blonde joke judgment call on her, like.
Right, she has a rash. So what they're saying is that she's dying.
Okay.
She's gonna be dead. So in order to keep her from becoming a zombie and being more of a pain in the ass, they're just gonna kill her before that happens.
Okay, I thought they were just killing her because she was a ditzy. I thought that's what they were saying. That's what I picked up on.
I like that too. No, she's just staying behind to kill her. And that's it.
But telling Reggie that they're staying behind for the sake of waiting for Hector.
Yes.
Because Hector's coming back to the radio station.
Yes, and that's their excuse so that they don't have to explain why they're going to kill her and all that blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
All of the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, there's a lot of blahs in this.
There's a bit of blah. And, so Mary fakes them out by knocking her out. She's supposed to inject her with something to kill her. Oscar comes over, the other Comet scientist, researcher, cult member, whatever the fuck they are, and he's like, "So, what happened?" And she's like, "What, did you want me to take her out back and shoot her?"
Yeah.
I just put her under, killed her with a syringe or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just glad it didn't cause her a lot of pain or whatever craziness." And so he starts getting suspicious.
I didn't understand this part. Like,
yeah, I think that he realized that she was a little too anti-comet scientist, and so he was gonna shoot her. He was like moving. He was moving for his gun, and she goes, "What do you want me to do, Oscar? Go for my gun." And she already has it in her hand. And he just shoots him. So, and that's it. Oscar's dead. We'll miss Oscar.
You're just getting a little too anti-comet scientist.
This is a very anti-science movie. So Hector shows up to the radio station dressed as Santa.
Why?
He wants to surprise them.
Is that what it was? Okay.
It's Christmas time, and he wants to give them something nice. He was going to bring them presents, and I don't know.
So he drove the whole way there from San Diego dressed as Santa.
Also, he's lost his fucking mind. It's the end of the world, and he's crazy as hell. So Mary is there, and she tells him that they're stealing the blood from the survivors to try to make some sort of serum. And then as she's saying that, she pretty much passes out because she has injected herself with something to kill herself.
Yes.
And she dies.
Bye, Mary.
Goodbye, Mary. We will miss you. And then back at the Comet cult, they're asking whatever, our main character, tons of blood illness related questions.
Boring.
Did we have another one of these movies?
God, I don't know, but like this is the part of the movie that drives me nuts, where it's just like
It is.
there's no interesting dialogue. It's just like,
Agree.
have you ever had hepatitis? Have you ever been pregnant? And it's just like,
It's so funny because all of this stuff, it's funny how this movie bores you, and like a movie like The Dark Backwards that is kind of very similar in its like just nothing happens. You know, like there's just big pauses and like big long waits between things. You still love
but
that
that's like
movie.
surreal. And looks
You don't
damn
find
neat.
this movie surreal.
No.
That's weird. I find this movie very 80s surreal. But maybe that's just me. So
I don't hate this movie, but it definitely does bore me. Like,
yeah, there's definitely some. I mean, there's some slow parts, but it's weird. This is
it
one I
doesn't
can
engage
watch a lot.
I can't even imagine how. It doesn't
So
engage me.
weird.
I'm watching it and I just want it to be done whenever I've watched this movie. Like, I've owned this on tape. I've traded it off twice because I've never been able to finish it before. I've
It's so
only finished
weird.
it the other day for this podcast.
I may just have some sort of special attachment to this
And
movie.
you're not
Sure
alone.
why.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
I was reading online and like 9 out of 10 reviews are people love this movie.
And
Like,
it is
I'm
all-
definitely
I mean,
in the minority here.
This movie is very like, and it's also a super influential movie. It's one of those movies that's like people credit it all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's references to it in movies all over the place. 28 Days Later has a reference to this movie in it.
Joss Whedon said Sam inspired Buffy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also, isn't the dog named Buffy?
Yeah, I think so.
Like literally, there's a moment where there's a cheerleader in a cheerleading outfit who says Buffy in the middle of an end of the world badass girl thing. It's like very similar. Yeah, so
Oh, you mean when she finds a pile of red dog dust that wasn't there in the
It
scene
wasn't
previously?
there in the scene previous.
Yes. Yeah.
very funny. So they. I don't remember how we learn this, but eventually we learn from some sort of overheard dialogue that they're stopping the brain function of these survivors
So they're just blood producers.
so that they're alive,
Yep.
but they're just producing blood. And so they're just stealing their
It's
blood.
just a weird thing to do. Like,
I don't know if they're just replacing their own blood with this blood or
they're
that's,
using.
that's what they said, but
How much do you need?
do they know that they can make a serum? They've got a lot of blood there, and they haven't seemed to cure it yet.
They also seem to forget how to do what they're doing, though. Which I find the
that
two
is
nurses
interesting.
to be a really neat part of this movie,
Jesus,
where they're trying to forget the things and I like those characters.
that is. So I would say that they are the most disturbing part of this movie.
Yeah.
For me. Like
Oh, yeah.
by far, they're just like. I love working with kids.
Mm-hmm.
That line where they're like about to sever the brainstem of these children and turn them into blood bags.
Yep.
And they're like, I love working with kids. Like, oh, I wish I had her hair. Yeah, fucking crazy. So Reggie breaks the computer in the room, and the guy comes over and he's like, taking your anger out on inanimate objects isn't going to help anything. And he goes over to fix it.
So she clocks him with the keyboard.
Yep.
It's a heavy keyboard.
Hey,
In 1984, yeah,
that thing was probably 35 pounds.
Oh, I agree with you. So it's just funny because I was watching this movie and I was just like, I'm sitting here at a computer watching this and I'm just like, what? This would knock somebody out. Then I started thinking about the old like big metal-based giant keyboards that used to come with computers. And that totally makes sense.
Totally would.
Pass.
Yep. So now Hector pulls up at the Comet Cult, and speaking of Scooby-Doo, this is like
What is this?
straight Scooby-Doo. He comes in doing a cowboy,
Like a good old boy
shtick.
shtick, yeah.
It's like, oh boy, tell you what, come look in this trunk. You like girls?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And he goes, he looks in the, he's like, that girl's dead. It's like, no, somebody just injected her with something. So blah blah
Sodium
blah.
pentothal, so she looks kind of dead. Like,
And then it was actually, this is what I like about this movie. In a cheeseball movie way, what they're doing here is, to me, I like the way that they're getting this kind of information in, where it's like, they only injected her with that so that she would look dead, so that you scumbags couldn't suck her blood, or whatever it was. And that little bit of dialogue allowed, here, we'll just get that out of the way, but it's still, it flows nicely. It's over the top. It is cheesy. It's cartoonish.
Yep.
But it fits the movie. And I feel like all of that dialogue is so perfect for this movie. Like, it's just, there's something about it. I don't know, man.
Okay.
I really enjoy the way that they
can have
get exposition out in this movie. Even though it's not clunky, but it hits you over the head, which is usually unforgivable, but the way this movie is set up, it's not.
And then Hector does the extremely logical thing of planting a bunch of dynamites and building a car bomb.
Because
movie, I guess.
Because it's a movie, and, being a truck driver, sometimes you got to learn how to make car bombs. If it was like, oh, I'm just over here, I'm from the IRA, and my time over in Ireland was really tough, the troubles and all. Anyway,
I learned this time I played a goof on my buddy Barry and blew up his big rig.
I would accept that.
It was a really funny goof.
His family.
He was out of work forever.
Oh boy!
And he died.
12 people died. Yeah. I accept that. I would.
Okay.
I would very much love that to be the reason that he knows how to do that. But he does. He plants
But that would be like a
dynamites
funny line of dialogue, and we don't have those in this movie.
Yes, exactly. So, somebody, I think she knows how to shut down the life support system for this building somehow.
I mean, she's a cheerleader.
That's true. She is a cheerleader.
Yep.
So she shuts down the life support system. And the kids get off probably the funniest line of dialogue in an ADR, little like under their breath line here, where they say, "My parents told me not to breathe anything from strangers."
Yeah. Well,
I love that
they also
line.
have a line that doesn't make sense either at first, because the nurses are going to gas these kids because they're going to make them blood bags, right? That's the point. Is that what's going on? So I love this
That's
scene.
it.
The two nurses are like, "Here, breathe into this," and she goes, "You said that we weren't going to get shots." I'm like, who's got a needle, girl? What are you talking about? But they're it's not shots. You just need to breathe in here. Our parents told us not to breathe from strangers. Okay, that line's funny.
That is
only in its absolute oddness.
That is a brilliant line.
Yeah.
And also, I also really like this. This is another really good one. This whole movie is like a comic book. Mm-hmm. But this scene specifically where they're like, and you're gonna go to Santa's.
Breathe in, and you're gonna
the
giggle
North
a little
Pole.
bit. Then you're gonna fall asleep. Then when you wake up, you'll wake up in the North Pole, and you'll live there with Santa forever
for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That whole scene, if you just watch that out of context, is creepy. It's
beyond
great.
dark.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, but then so they show up. The two girls arrive.
Yep.
And they find the kids and the two nurses.
The kids tell them that they're going to the North Pole to breathe in. They're like, "That's sick."
That's sick.
So when we later see the nurses, we find out that they tied them to the table, put those tubes on their mouth, and left a note saying "off to see Santa." Like, it's perfect. It's a great visual.
That is a wonderful
Yeah.
wrap up to that little thing. So Hector's here. He's wired all the cars with explosives. They explode.
Or they could just like stealthily get these kids out of there and leave without planting car bombs everywhere. And then, of all things, when they do escape, Hector stops the car and calls a bunch of damn attention to him.
Yeah.
What the?
Also, the other oddly improbable thing. So how it goes down? They get out. They take the elevator up. They get to the top level. He's out there. They run into the car. Get the kids safely into the car. He drives a half block down and then taunts them.
Yeah.
Because he's rigged them all to explode. So they get in, and one of them says, "Hey, do you smell gas?" And so he's like, I'm worried about this. But then our main character from the zombie plant, whatever, Comet research, whatever, he reaches over. He's become zombified.
Why would he turn the key?
And he turns the key.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just 'cause.
It's usually when you jump in your buddy's car, it's cool when he lets you turn the key.
especially if you've become a mindless zombie.
Yeah.
It's just something he remembers from his life. It's just like Dawn of the Dead. He's like,
they go somewhere familiar. Oh,
I like this.
I like this. But yeah, so just like they're getting away, and they're gonna get away scot-free, but Hector stops to flip them off and say something that's not even that cool. Like,
I mean,
I don't
especially
even remember what he says, but it's not like a cool final line or anything.
no, it's not.
It's like, hey,
he
you
flips
guys
them
are
up.
poop heads. Yeah.
And we know the frustrating part of it is that we know that if they drove for 12 hours, everyone would be dead. They're all so far progressed that just waiting them out. You just wait them out and they'll all die. Mary Warnow's already explained that everyone's dying.
Yeah, so
and they're dying fast.
So why aren't any
I mean,
of
that
these
guy
people
literally zombified in 6 hours or
So
something.
why
like
aren't
that.
any of these people zombifying?
Well, I mean,
some
of them are.
No. I'm talking about our characters, like Hector, Sam, Reggie. Is Sam actually zombifying? Because
she is not.
She mentions that she gets a rash when she gets nervous.
Yeah, she is not. She was actually safe.
So why in the hell are they not dissolving at all? They've been out in this dust all day.
Because it's rays, it's not the dust.
But they've been out in it.
They haven't been out. The rays were only when the comet went by, and that was done at the end of the day.
Okay.
So everybody who was exposed during that period who was not completely
So they got
enclosed,
the comet rays in their ventilation duct. That's what
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Is it... I don't get what that means. Does it mean that they had a giant fan with no enclosure?
Could that suck in radiation, though? Like, I don't know how things like that work.
I don't know.
I am not a scientist.
I'm
a comet scientist.
I'm not a fake comet scientist, so I don't know how fake comet science works.
And I'm not overly bright, so I don't really know how that works.
But it's really frustrating because I really feel like that line complicates this whole movie to a point of just making it impossible to
I just thought it was stupid that geniuses would leave the ducts open.
Well,
but I never thought about how it doesn't actually work that way.
Right, it doesn't seem like that's how it works, but whatever. So there's a rainstorm. It washes away all the powdered people. And
powder people.
All the powder people. The sky clears up and it's blue skies again and everything's normal because there's no more dead people floating around in the atmosphere. So, and now it looks like Hector and Reggie are getting married?
Yeah, they're starting a new nuclear family for the comet age.
Is that what's going on here?
They're in charge of rebuilding society, she says.
Yes, now the burden of
civilization is on them.
Falls upon them, yes.
So they're trying to instill, they've basically adopted those kids from the thing. And they're about to cross the street, and Reggie is waiting for them to wait for the light to change to get the walk sign so they can all be responsible because the burden of civilization is on them. Sam thinks this is preposterous, so she runs into the street, and all of a sudden the car comes.
Gets run over by who?
DMK.
My God, who could that possibly be? So
it's the humorous end to the joke of the arcade.
That's the punchline of the arcade.
That wasn't funny or needed or makes no sense. And the only person that would know about the DMK name is Reggie, and she doesn't even notice. So there's no payoff here.
It's weird.
All.
It's real.
She doesn't even I just wanted her to see the license plate as it pulled away and was like, DMK. We don't get any of that. Like, there's no payoff to this joke that isn't even a joke that isn't even funny.
Yeah, it would have been better if she just shot him right point blank in the head and said, "You son of a bitch." Yeah.
Sorry, I just have kind of a tempest.
Anyway, yeah, so that's the movie, and yes, it is flawed.
And so after DMK drives away, and after she was just teaching these kids to wait for crosswalk signs, they just play football in the middle of the fucking street. They can't even keep their own rules for 2 seconds.
Yeah, they are pretty stupid. Society was doomed anyway.
Yes. But yeah, I just feel this movie just makes up its own game rules and changes them and doesn't solidify any kind of solid mythology to it whatsoever.
I can see that.
I don't get why there's zombies. I don't get why some people they're not sick whatsoever ever.
There is I agree that a lot of that stuff is not set up, but I think it's interesting that they don't do it. I think in this case, in channeling the 50s, where it's just oh my God, he's been exposed to atmospherium.
Yeah.
And now clearly he has the power of 17 cats. Fuck, whatever it is. That kind of stuff. I love that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like maybe soundtrack wise or something, they could have leaned into it more.
The soundtrack's terrible. The song selection.
Oh, the song selection is terrible. The soundtrack is amazing.
Oh, the music is
when
good.
When the actual music comes in.
Yep.
I loved that was one of the parts that I really enjoyed was that shitty pop music while everybody's alive.
Yep.
They wake up in the morning, you see the sky, and it is 1970s synthesizer music.
Yep.
And it goes straight to oh shit, things have gone bad. You can tell by the synthesizer.
I really love the morning after the comet. The shots that they use and showing the deserted Earth, I think looks fantastic. It's, atmospherically wise, it's amazing. Like
I think more than anything that
my,
sells it.
My giant complaint is I love how the deserted Earth looks. So I hate every minute we spend down in the bunker. Like I just feel that whole the bunker set is terrible.
I think it's impossible to shoot people in that atmosphere. I think in that amazing color palette, I don't think they can shoot actors in that. I think that whatever they were doing to treat that,
like they would look weird.
Yeah, I think it was just impossible to have them out there. So, I think that's why.
We do return to the Sherman Oaks Galleria again in this movie.
Love that.
Yep, we've been to that mall a lot here on the Funbox Monster Podcast.
Is that where Elves was?
No.
Nah, that's a shame. It's a damn shame.
Yep.
A lot of the
I don't know where Elves is, but it wasn't there.
What a shame. So original title, Teenage Comet Zombies.
Yep.
Great name. So we have people from Valley Girl. We have people from...
I love Valley Girl.
I mean, Chopping Mall. It's interesting that like there's a tie-in to Hard to Die, our first ever podcast. That when
was that the first? I thought it was 976 Evil too.
That was the second one. I think Hard to Die was our first one.
Interesting.
And so
maybe I'll go back and listen to it again. You can go find all the archives.
All of the archives are available for you to listen to. But
for free.
But Kelly was billed as D.M. Kenner, D. Mason Kenner in that.
Yep,
so DMK, and that was the reference.
DMK's name, yeah. Huh.
That's the reason they used that reference. There's so many weird little things tying back to so many other things. It's cool. I mean, it's a schlocky 80s movie made by people that love schlocky 80s movies, and I enjoy that. Even when they're bad, like things like Not of This Earth, I still enjoyed it, even if it's bad.
I've not seen that.
Ooh, it's another attempt at a 50s movie.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, I would recommend checking this out if you hadn't seen it. Like I don't personally like it.
Absolutely.
I've tried watching it several times and it just kind of always bored me. Like I always thought it started off strong and then I just kind of got bored by it and I never finished it until you picked it for this week's.
That's amazing. That honestly shocks me, but the more I think about it, the more I can see where that comes from. But
I just don't feel like it has enough oomph to it. Like it's just kind of it's a movie that just kind of comes and happens. And then it's just gone. And then it's just like nothing really cool.
It's funny, yeah.
Happens.
I mean, it definitely has the feeling of like if I don't know. If
when you break it down, there's no real cool action scenes.
Right.
If you counted all the times that zombies are on screen, if you want to call it a zombie movie, you're looking at maybe a minute.
True.
Like there's just a lot of clunky long dialogue.
If you were hoping for a horror movie, this is not it. This is much more akin to a Goonies. This is a lot less of a horror movie. There are monsters in it. There is a horror element to it. There's an end of the world. Everyone on the goddamn planet dies, with the exception of like 150 people.
The strongest thing it's got going for it is what the end of the world looks like. The deserted planet looks great.
Yeah,
I love the atmosphere of that.
Honestly, I think the strongest thing is the interplay between the two main female leads.
And they're great too.
I think the two of them are amazing, and I like their chemistry together. I think they're both great actors, and so I definitely enjoyed that part of it. And like I said, for all of the absolutely cartoonishness of the dialogue still is very strong to me.
I'm going to disagree with you there. Like the
dialogue, I can understand.
Every line just clunks to me and just doesn't go anywhere.
Interesting.
Except the North Pole dialogue. That is awesome.
That's really good dialogue. My parents told me never to breathe anything from strangers.
That line's good.
God damn it. Anyway, you can follow us at Funbox Monster Podcast.
And I am Matt Awkward, VHS Fiend.
And Rad Wraith has been funded fully, so we're going to have that coming out soon.
I did my part.
Would you like to know more? And you can also follow us at Coast City Comics and at Funbox Monster Emporium and on
you
the
can
Actually
go there
Comics.
and see us in person.
Exactly, 634 Congress Street.
I don't work there, but I'm always hanging out next door. Just
Exactly.
give me a call.
Yes, he'll be right there at the TV station. We're joined right between a post office.
I could probably sneak through some air ducts and visit you.
I can almost guarantee that there's some sort
Just
of
like Phantom of the Mall.
it's a Phantom of the Mall situation, like everything else.
Yes. Just living that phantom life, man.
Yes, and so we'll be back next week with something else.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows what it's going to be?
Pinata Survival Island.
All right, that's going to be it then. All right.
I'm sorry.
Oh boy. We'll see you later.
Faces.